Hey guys, Everything NFL here, and today I am back with a brand new video going over if can the Los Angeles Rams bounce back in 2020 after a poor 2019 NFL season. So quickly before we get into the video, I want to thank you guys so much. We are continually, slowly growing. 42 subscribers now, on the road to 50 subscribers. And I cannot thank you guys enough. So before we get into the video, make sure to go down and subscribe, and also like the video and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. I upload 3 times a week, so 3 great videos a week. I think they're great anyway. It's your guys' opinions anyway. But without any more messing about, let's get right into the video. After making a run to the Super Bowl in 2018, where they lost to the New England Patriots in a very dull game that finished 13-3 to New England, the Rams had a bit of a Super Bowl hangover and finished 9-7. 9-7 is a good record, but it wasn't good enough to make the playoffs in a very, very strong NFC in 2019. Can they return to the promised land in 2020? We will be going over that in today's video. Let's start with the offense and work our way round to the defense. We're going to go over most of the roster here, and then I will finally give you guys my prediction towards the end of the video. Under centre, the Rams have Jared Goff, who in my opinion is an above-average starter. He will get the job done, but it is pretty evident he relies on Sean McVay's play calls and him telling him where to throw the ball and what's open and stuff like that. But in my opinion, Jared Goff is grossly overpaid. He's on about 30-something million a season. I think it's stupid how he's getting paid so much money when last year he was paid his big contract when the Rams were like 3-3 and Jared Goff wasn't particularly playing too well. He didn't have a good 2019 season and he isn't as good as people think he is, in my opinion. I don't see him being the long-term option for the Rams, and that's a big statement to make at this point of someone's young career. I just really don't think Jared Goff has it in him to guide the Rams back to the Super Bowl where they will be looking to get to. And that is every team's ultimate goal, is to get to the Super Bowl. And I don't think Jared Goff is the guy that's going to do that again. I know he's done it before, but the team around him was incredible. And the team around him has gone a little bit worse. And I think most of you guys can agree. I don't know if Jared Goff is the guy to take this team forward. Now, at running back, they have Malcolm Brown, who isn't a true number 1 running back, and I don't think will play a ton this year. I don't really rate him too highly. I don't think he will play a ton. But they also have Darrell Henderson, who I do rate very highly, who I expect to take a big step up in 2020 after coming out of Memphis in 2019. He was drafted, I believe, in the 2nd or 3rd round. Don't judge me on that, I'm not too sure. But I think Darrell Henderson is a beast. I think if he gets more playing time, he could be a fantastic player in like a... It's going to be like a triple-headed backfield if you think, because of the other player that they drafted. And they also drafted, though, this player we're going to talk about, Cam Akers out of Florida State in the 2nd round of the 2020 NFL draft. I actually had Akers rated as a 2nd rounder and was the 5th rated running back on my board behind DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I expect Cam Akers to be a beast and play a big role. It's one thing we know about Florida State running backs. Dalvin Cook, how he came into the NFL, he was a 2nd round pick, and look how great Dalvin Cook is. I think Cam Akers could play a lot in 2020 on the offense and be a big piece. And in my opinion, underrated opinion, could be in line for Offensive Rookie of the Year. That's how well I think Akers is going to play, but the offensive line also has to play great. Now at wide receiver, in my opinion, the best wide receiver on their team is Cooper Kupp, one of my favourite players in the NFL, and also one of the most underrated players in the NFL, I think. And he will assert himself as one of the league's best in 2020. The Eastern Washington product is now 26, I think, so he's still young enough to make that next big step. And I think it's going to be great how Jared Goff's going to be able to get the ball in Cooper Kupp's hands without having to worry as much, because Cooper Kupp is going to continue to get better, because that's the type of player he is. He always gets better, and I think it's going to be fantastic seeing what Cooper Kupp can do in 2020. They also have veteran wideout Robert Woods, who is 29, who is a fantastic compliment to Cooper Kupp, but carries a huge cap hit in 2020. I believe his cap hit going into next season is like $16.5 million or something. It's a very big cap hit, and he may be playing for his future in LA in the forthcoming NFL season because his cap hit is so big. I don't know if LA will be wanting to pay him going forward. He might even be a free agent come the end of the 2020 season. season heading into 2021, but we don't know that yet. And they also have solid depth in Josh Reynolds, who I think is a fantastic third option. He's the type of player you'd want as a third option. He showed glimpses of possibly coming up and getting better to be playing as a number 2. I don't see Reynolds as a true number 1, but I think he's a good option for the Rams at third wide receiver. And also, in the second round, they selected Van Jefferson, the wide receiver out of Florida, who I had graded as a third rounder, but they took him at the back end of the second. I think he's going to play a rotational role in 2020 for the Rams. I think the reason this Van Jefferson pick makes sense is because, like I just said, if Robert Woods is playing for his last season in LA and Van Jefferson has a good year and Josh Reynolds has a good year, Reynolds or Jefferson could be the number 2 next season, with Cooper Kupp being the leading number 1. And the boundary sort of guy, and I can't wait to see how some of these rookies are playing in the NFL. I'm so excited. If you guys are excited for the NFL season, make sure to press the like button, because I think we all are. It's a long time coming. At tight end, the Rams have a great duo in Gerald Everett and Tyler Higbee, who are a consistent duo and had a very consistent 2020 season too, and they're a great duo. I expect good consistency and good production out of the pair of them. I kind of think Tyler Higbee is a little bit better than Gerald Everett, and I think Tyler Higbee will play more, but who knows, who am I to say? When the league comes around, we will see who is the better player. And in the fourth round, they selected Bryson Hopkins out of Purdue, the Boilermaker, who should be a great depth player in 2020 for the Rams. He's definitely going to be the third tight end on the depth chart. But I think Bryson Hopkins is very good. He was like my second or third tight end on my board. I can't quite remember. But Cole Kmet was my number 1, who went to Chicago in the second round. But Bryson Hopkins was like my second or third. Like I just said, I think he's great. He's got a lot of potential, but he just needs the right team and the right system to make it all work. And on the offensive line, they have veteran left tackle Andrew Whitworth, who's a solid tackle, but is 42 years old and won't be playing for too much longer. I know he's just signed a little extension to he's like 44, I think. But I don't know how much he's going to play more, because as he's getting older, he's going to slow down. If you want to see how well he's looked after himself, though, I'm pretty sure his workout regime is on YouTube somewhere. So go and check that out. It's absolutely insane how someone his age is still doing that. And along the offensive line, they have guard Austin Corbett, who they got from Cleveland a few years back, Joseph Noteboom, Austin Blythe, and there's a few other names along the offensive line which we don't really need to name, but it's a very below average offensive line, and I don't think this is the improvements. I just don't think this is the offensive line that's going to help protect Jared Goff and help take them back to the Super Bowl. I did think they needed to invest in offensive line a little bit more in the offseason and in the draft. I was surprised they didn't make a trade up to get like Robert Hunt, like the Dolphins drafted, or even someone like Ezra Cleveland or anyone like that. I was so surprised that they didn't make that move. Now, let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. The Rams have a young and promising duo at safety in John Johnson III, playing on the strong side, and second-year safety out of Washington, Taylor Rapp, who wasn't too good in 2019, but should take a huge step up in 2020, and I expect Rapp to excel in the absence of recently retired veteran and possible future player going into Canton in Eric Weddle. But I think Taylor Rapp is fantastic. I really liked him coming out of Washington, and I think he's going to take a big step in 2020. At cornerback, the Rams are one of the best, and you could even debate he was the best a few years back. I don't know. I think I know Stephon Gilmore's better, but Jalen Ramsey, former Florida State and Jacksonville Jaguars standout. He is a huge pickup when they traded for him. They gave up a lot of value. I believe it was a first-round pick in 2019. Was it 2020, a first-round pick in 2021, a second-round pick in 2021, and I think there was a few other bits thrown in there. But they gave up a ton of value to get Jalen Ramsey. It's a huge pickup, undoubtedly the best piece on the depth chart at cornerback for the Rams. But outside of the all-pro talent, they don't really have too much strength outside of that. Outside of Ramsey, the strongest options are Troy Hill, David Long Jr., who are good options. They're third or fourth backs, but I still think they miss Marcus Peters, who is a fantastic player at the Baltimore Ravens. In my opinion, Marcus Peters is very underrated, top 5 cornerback in the NFL, in my opinion. But I think they miss him a lot more than they thought they would when they traded him away. At linebacker, outside linebacker in the edge, they have Samson Ebukam and Lenna Floyd, and they also have rookie Terrell Lewis out of Alabama, who will come in and play a rotational role for the Rams. But I think Samson Ebukam is extremely underrated. Fantastic. If you want to see a highlight, he had 2 defensive touchdowns in the game against the Kansas City Chiefs in 2018, I want to say, when when the Rams beat the Chiefs 54-51. It was an absolutely fantastic game. One of my favourite NFL games I've ever watched. Go and watch the highlights on YouTube. They are amazing. And I think Abraham is a beast. Lenna Floyd was recently released by the Chicago Bears to save cap space, and he was picked up by Los Angeles. And I think he's going to be better on Los Angeles than he was in Chicago. He wasn't really set up. He played on the other side to Khalil Mack in Chicago. And obviously Khalil Mack is going to get all of the sacks and all the pressures because that's just how good Khalil Mack is. Now, a middle linebacker is very weak for LA. I'm not afraid to say that. They only have Kenny Young, who they traded for from Baltimore as part of the Marcus Peters trade, and Micah Kaiser. And they have a couple other players, but I don't think any of their middle linebackers are good enough to be NFL caliber starters, and I think they will need to address middle linebackers sooner than later. And along the defensive line, at defensive end, the Rams have, in my opinion, the best defensive player in the entirety of the NFL and football in general in Aaron Donald, who is an absolute force to be reckoned with and will continue to wreak havoc on opposing defensive lines for years and years to come. The All-Pro player is an absolute monster on the defensive line. I think Aaron Donald he's going to go to the Hall of Fame already, I don't think any doubt, but I think he's going to be one of the key pieces for the Los Angeles Rams if they want to win a Super Bowl again one day. He's going to be big for them to make sure they have Aaron Donald for the long run and that he wants to be in LA for the long run. And now moving on, they also have Michael Brockers on the other side at defensive end, who they let go in free agency, but returned after a deal for him to move to the Baltimore Ravens, I believe. Fell through. It was either Baltimore or Jacksonville. I can't remember, to be honest. But it fell through, and that didn't happen. So he returned to LA. I think it was on a 3-year, $33 million deal. I want to say it's around that. It's anywhere it's like 3 years, $30 million. It's around that. But he's a good player. He's not as good as Aaron Donald, no way. But he's also great on that defensive line because once Aaron Donald is being double teamed, because he always gets double teamed, Aaron Donald, because he's just that good. He needs to be held off a little bit more, but I think Michael Brockers will succeed again and continue to succeed. I think he's going to get even better with age, which is just something that you don't really hear said about in the NFL too much, but I think Michael Brockers is going to get way better with age. And on defensive tackle, they also have second-year D-tackle. They selected 32nd in the 4th round, I believe. Greg Gaines played a bit in 2020, didn't play too well when he did, but I expect him to play a bit more in 2020. And they also have former Detroit Lions nose tackle A'Shawn Robinson in free agency. I think it was a 2-year, $17 million deal or something, but he's going to help bolster the Rams' defensive line and be a great option. Do I think the Rams will bounce back in 2020? No. The NFC West is the hardest division in the NFL. Think about it. You've got the San Francisco 49ers, made the Super Bowl last year. Looks like they're going to make another playoff run, one of the best teams in the NFL. You've also got the Seattle Seahawks, one of the most consistent teams in the NFL. And they also have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and Russell Wilson leading them, and the rest of the team around them. And now you've got the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Kenyon Drake along the defensive side, Chandler Jones, Buda Baker, the list can go Patrick Peterson, the list can go on. I think the Rams are the worst team in the NFC West. I think they're going to finish bottom of the NFC West, but that doesn't mean that further on down the line they're going to grow and continue to be a better team once they finally sort out everything for their roster. And that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back Wednesday with a brand new video. I'm going to be doing probably a top 5 of rankings list, so make sure to come back on Wednesday for that. Make sure to go down and like and subscribe, and also turn on notifications and follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is in my description, and I will be back Wednesday with a brand new video. See you later, guys.